Hello and welcome to round 15 of the 2013 AFIA Indycar series, coming to you from Mexico City, in Mexico. And being round 15, this is the penultimate race of the championship, which means we could potentially see a new champion, although that's not looking realistic because the top three in the championship, who are Will Power, Scott Dixon and Juan Pablo Montoya, not in that order, they're all separated by just 2 points in the favour of Juan Pablo Montoya. So, the last race saw Will Power pretty much dominate proceedings almost. Pole position, fastest lap and the victory, although his win was only by not a lot, 1.3 seconds over Scott Dixon. Montoya was third, followed by the two FJI Ewings of Hinchcliffe and Canaan. Here's the circuit, and look at that sequence of S's that Herman Tilke absolutely shat on when he took hold of it in around 2014-2015. There's the pit stop windows, 3 stops. We're expecting the first ones to be 11 to 13, then 25 to 28, 38 to 40, and then the 2 stoppers, expect them in from laps 15 to 18, and then again at 34 to 37 in this 51 lap race. So, it is advantage Will Power on the grid at the moment. 1.137 tenths of a second, the gap between himself and Juan Pablo Montoya. They're both on the red compound tyres, the softer tyres. Simon Pagenaud takes third ahead of Tony Kanaan. L.A. Castroneves is fifth, and the third of the main championship protagonists, Scott Dixon, qualifies sixth, and he's also on the red wall tyres. So let's have a look. We're underway, and it's Will Power who holds the lead at the moment. There's some jostling going on in the midfield as we head down this extremely long run to the first corner, about 900 metres to be exact. And who on earth is going to take the lead going into the first corner, which is the right, left, right chicane sequence. I forget the name of it, but that's where Gerhard Berger did an absolutely stupefying pass on Mansell. And I think it is an old layout of Mexico, which makes me happy. It is Will Power who leads from Simon Pagenaud. So Pagenaud and Canaan have jumped up to second to third. They've taken Montoya on the run down the first corner. And Castroneves holds 5th place at the moment as we look at the field going through the introduction to the ever-quickening S's. One of my favourite sections of any circuit, actually. It just keeps going and keeps getting quicker. Everyone remembers the Peraltada corner where Mansell bravely went round the outside of Berger in 1990, but my favourite section is in fact the S's. We're having a look at Montoya. Is he going to have a look into the Peraltada? That's side by side through there, and it's the full Peraltada. That makes me even happier. But Montoya has just taken 3rd position away from Tony Kanaan. And Simon Pagenaud is the quickest on circuit, but this long straight, that could bring the advantage back to Kanaan for 3rd position. And indeed, Kanaan back up to 3rd, even before they reach the braking zone. Now as we go through the S's, well, the first right, left, S section, and then the quick left into a difficult braking zone, the right. There's a corner called Hockey. I think it might be this one. I'll have to check a map afterwards. Or AJ could probably confirm that's when this circuit makes a return to the FF1M calendar. Only held 1 race, or maybe 2 or 3 races in the FF1M world, and that was back in the Masters era. Last race held in 1992, or should I say season 5 of the Masters era. There's yellow flags out somewhere. Somebody has had an off, and a big off by the looks of it because the yellows are still there. It's Charlie Kimball who has crashed out of the race somewhere in the S's. Montoya had taken 3rd, but it looks like Canaan's going to take that back, and Ed Carpenter out of the race as well. So have the 2 drivers collided? And there's some jockeying further back. Ed Carpenter, he's going to go straight off the circuit, into the wall, bosh. Well, not quite, and that's what happens. He gets back into the circuit, right into the path of Charlie Kimball. Poor driving from Carpenter. And you can see the wheel bouncing away. Now then, third lap, and is it going to be deja vu as Montoya takes third once again from Kanaan, going into the Peraltada, which has recently been renamed the Nigel Mansell curve. And once again, Kanaan back in the slipstream, and he's going to retake third position once again. Somehow I don't think Montoya's learning, and there's nearly 3 wide going down the main straight into the first corner, and there's contact! I think that's Joseph Newgarden who's just punted Castroneves off the circuit, and James Hinchcliffe has taken advantage of that by moving up into 5th position, as we have a look at the rejoining Castroneves down in 8th now, after that. Now then, lap 4. Is it going to be deja vu for Montoya and Kanaan? Once again, the Peraltada is the preferred overtaking spot for the Colombian and championship contender, but for the Brazilian it's going to be down the main straight once again, pulling out to his right and retaking third once again. So Kanaan having a better run this time out. He and Hinchcliffe did quite well in the last few races. Hinchcliffe got a podium in fact at Mid-Ohio, which makes me very happy. And there's been a coming together at the first corner who has fallen victim to other drivers. Well, we're going to have a look at Ryan Hunter-Ray. Is that a clue? As he tries to have a look at the inside of... is that Oriol Servia that he collided with? And that's just desserts for Ryan Hunter-Ray. Just taking a look at the car. It was indeed Oriol Servia. So my spotter has worked. And lap 5, Montoya and Kanaan once again, and Montoya taking the position, not quite this time. Now, has Montoya learnt from his previous misjudgments? Well, who knows as we go down the front straight. And not close enough in the slipstream, interesting. Now then, what's Scott Dixon been up to? He's had a poor race so far, as he is coming under pressure from... who on earth is that? Is that Takuma Sato? And is Dixon pitting early? Now, is this a problem for Dixon? Because that's an early pit stop. Brakes according to his steering wheel, which you kind of need going into the first corner. It's not a particularly high braking circuit. There's only 3 places where you even touch the brakes. You've got the turns 1, 2 and 3 sequence. Then again, going into turn 5, the braking during the left, and then dab of brakes once again going to Hokia, the 6, and then that's it. You're just accelerating away through the S's. Oh, off the circuit has gone. Is that Connor Daly? It's Connor Daly rejoining right into the path of Ryan Briscoe, but Briscoe manages to see that one coming. So Daly, I presume, will rejoin way down the order as that Bourdais versus Newgarden going into the first corner, I think it is. And Montoya versus Kanaan once again going through the Peraltada. That's a position gain for Montoya, but no doubt Kanaan will do something about it down the long straight. And they're actually catching up Simon Pagenaud a little bit on that particular sector, so maybe these two are working together to get the maximum benefit of the slipstream. Let's see as we go through the S's. Well, Kanaan's 3/10 slower than Pagenaud through there. And Pagenaud coming into the pits. Is Montoya coming into the pits as well? Yes, with Kanaan as well. So these are the 3 stoppers making their first stops. Soon as the pit window opened as well. And that'll move James Hinchcliffe up to 2nd position. Power still leads, so not quite clear whether it'll be 3 stopping or 2 stopping. Bourdais briefly moves up to 3rd with Castroneves up to 4th. And, Kanaan being held up. I think Montoya made a better pit stop, and he has jumped the FJR Ewing driver. So Kanaan rejoins right into the path of Townsend Bell in the Mayer Motorsport Ilmore, not associated with any of the FF1M teams. And here is Will Power. We're right at the edge of the first pit window. Hinchcliffe has made a pit stop as well, and has therefore dropped to 10th, therefore on a 3 stop. I think Power's coming in. That's a 3 stop strategy for the Aussie. And the driver who currently sits second in the championship, having secured 2 wins compared to Montoya's 2 and Scott Dixon's 3. Newgarden and Pagenaud have 2 wins each as well. Pagenaud, the only driver with a Chevrolet engine who has won races this season. And Montagny has won 2, including that epic tussle at not Texas Motor Speedway. It was in fact Talladega. And the other driver to have won races is Ryan Hunter-Reay, the only driver to have won races for the Ilmor engine, and the only driver to have won just 1 race. Currently Hunter-Reay is way down the order and not in any threat of victory. As we look at Power, who's rejoined behind Montoya. Now that's interesting, the early pit stop has worked well for the Colombian, but Power coming straight back in front of him. Look at that, up the inside of turn 4. Good move from the Aussie, moving up to 2nd position. Pagenaud now leads, and Pagenaud has pitted. So, in actual fact, Pagenaud is now the new race leader, because everyone else has made pit stops. Who we're having a look at here, and there's contact between 2 drivers. Who is that? Helps if me spotter. It could have been... It was Dario Franchitti who had their collision with the other driver. Could have been... It wasn't Canaan, it might have been Marco Andretti. But definitely Franchitti spun there. Now then, there's a battle for the lead going on between Pagenaud and Power. Montoya lurking close behind, and Canaan in 4th position. Joseph Newgarden has benefited well from the pit stops. He's up to 5th position. Bourdais 6th. And Castroneves down in 7th after that incident with somebody. I think it was Newgarden. The comments section will tell me. Power getting a lot closer to the back of Pagenaud in the Flovis coloured Menards car. I think it was supposed to be yellow, but it's ended up Flovis, which I think looks a bit cooler. Driver for the Twister Kick Chevrolet engined machine. Through the S's they go. Can't remember who Twister Kick there. It's definitely an FF1M team, but which one I'm not 100% sure. Could be Andrew F1. No, it could be Tornado. I think it's Tornado. Now they're battling for the lead through the Peraltada. Pagenaud hanging on round the outside. And the gap just 0.3 of a second. That is slipstream territory for Power. And up the inside goes Power, the driver for Willow's Indy. And taking the lead is Will Power once again. So, pitted 2 laps later compared to Pagenaud and Montoya and Canaan. And it seems as if the fresher tyres have worked out well for the Aussie. Now, as we look at Pagenaud in 2nd position, as we look at other drivers now, that is Bourdais and Castroneves chasing Newgarden. Bourdais in the slipstream of Newgarden, trying to stay ahead of Castroneves, who tucks back into the slipstream. And just behind them is James Hinchcliffe. So it could be a 4-way battle for 5th position. There's an incident somewhere in the S's. Looks like one of the backmarkers. Is it Townsend Bell once again? Is it AJ Allmendinger? Can't see much for the trees. This is a battle for position, actually, between these 2 drivers. NTT, who are you? That is AJ Allmendinger. And I think it is Connor Daly. The recovering Connor Daly. Through the S's they go. Still side by side as we go through the S's, and locking up goes Connor Daly. And off the track has gone Allmendinger. So that was a clumsy error. Having just taken a position away from, well, just held on from Connor Daly, he's just thrown it away. And there's Dixon way down the order. Looks like it's going to be a big ask for Dixon if he's going to maintain championship challenge. Hasn't really gone right for Dixon ever since it was Road America when I did the commentary for that race. He had a bit of a poor race there, or poor result. Could have been unlucky, but who knows. Pit stops well and truly underway. We had Canaan coming into the pits. Now we have Castroneves coming into the pits as well from He was in 7th position at the time, now he's just dropped down the order as the 2 stoppers come into play. Who is 2 stopping? We'll find out shortly. As Pagenaud comes in for the 2nd time, as does Montoya and Newgarden and Hinchcliffe. Once again, Power staying out a little bit later. If he can rejoin ahead of Pagenaud, then it's looking good for Power to take the win. And it will look like a straight fight between Power and Montoya, providing they can keep the cars on the road. If Power and Montoya retire from the race, then that will help Dixon quite a lot. Pagenaud rejoining 5th, and we're just seeing the 2 stoppers coming into play, and Kanaan is in 4th position, so he's jumped Pagenaud. That's important for Kanaan's race, as we're going to see Power coming into the pits. I think that is Connor Daly in the background, who has been lapped. But here is where the 2 stoppers now come into play. It looks like Justin Wilson and Takuma Sato are on the 2-stop strategy. And they're going to take track position away from Will Power during this pit stop. It's a short pit lane, but they are going full speed as they go through the Peraltada and they start-finish straight. No, Wilson is in the pits as well, so Wilson on the 3 stops, as is Sato. So looking good for Will Power. Out of the pits, slightly slower stop, 8.2 seconds. Targets to rejoin ahead of Kanaan. I think he's going to do that comfortably. Indeed he is. Will Power maintains the lead after his 2nd stop, as Kanaan takes a net 2nd now. That's a good effort from the FJR Ewing driver. Oddly enough, Hinchcliffe is ahead of Kanaan in the championship. And considering Kanaan's status in the IndyCar series, it's somewhat surprising. And it's surprising as well that Kanaan's going to go off the road, rejoins, nearly into the path of Montoya, but that's 2nd place lost! Whoa, goodness me, Montoya weaving his way past Pagenaud, and a backmarker who's just left the pits. Is that Franchitti? Could well have been Dario Franchitti exiting the pits right into the path of Pagenaud and Montoya. So now it's the 2 in the lead who are 1st and 2nd on the road, as we see Power going through the S's. See Power running wide at the S's. He's going to spin. He's going to spin. He's going to hold on. And here comes Montoya. Montoya's going to take the lead. There we go. Power's made a critical error and is going to drop down the order. So Power pushing hard to try and rebuild his lead is stuck. 9th position, that's going to be 10th position, and it's going to be 11th position for Power. Oh, that's a disaster. Utter disaster for the Aussie and the Willows Indy driver. And ironically, Dixon goes past just as Power makes the effort to rejoin. So that's put a different complexion on the championship battle, as Montoya leads from Pagenaud and the battling Newgarden and Kanaan. So Joseph Newgarden's having a good 3rd stint of the race. But Kanaan in the slipstream, Newgarden defending, and Kanaan holding back for now. Now then, the final pit stops. It's Montoya, Pagenaud, Newgarden and Kanaan all in the pits. So the top 4 choosing this opportunity to make their early pit stop, as is Castro Neves. Now then, is there any 2 stoppers going to come into play? I doubt it, because they're all ahead at that point. Now then, Montoya's left the pits first, and Pagenaud's contact between Pagenaud and Castro Neves as they exit the pits. So a bit of clumsiness going on there, and it's Newgarden now in 2nd position. And who's this? Hinchcliffe is coming up through the field now. Has Hinchcliffe made his final stop? I'm not sure. But now it's James Hinchcliffe up to 3rd position, as Pagenaud rejoins 4th, now ahead of Justin Wilson. So making the early final stop, if I am correct, and Hinchcliffe has indeed made his final stop, so it's the early stoppers who have benefited most from this, and they've got track position, but Pagenaud has got the run going up into the Peraltada. And side by side, that's a brave one, and Hinchcliffe hanging on for 3rd position, and just behind them we saw Kanaan and Wilson having a scrap, and Canaan has the position. Now Pagenaud's going to try and take Hinchcliffe for third position going into the first chicane sequence, and Wilson coming back at Canaan at the same time. We've got some right scraps going on, but Pagenaud is in third position ahead of Hinchcliffe, Wilson and Canaan. It's Montoya who leads from Newgarden. It's worth pointing out that Newgarden isn't that far behind, but 52 points behind Montoya, so he's going to need a miracle if he's going to maintain championship challenge going into the final race at Laguna Seca. Here is Pagenaud going through the S's with Hinchcliffe 4th, Wilson 5th, and off the track has gone Pagenaud out of the race. That's a wheel off and rejoin right into the path of others, but should be okay. So Hinchcliffe moves back up into third position from Wilson and Canaan, but that battle is still going to rage right up until the final lap. And we're having a look at Power versus Dixon. This is a championship battle of sorts, but not where both drivers were expecting. That's a battle for 12th. How on earth has it gone so wrong for Power? Making a careless mistake at the S's from the lead, and now down in 12th, the same position as his race number. We're having a look at Castroneves versus Oriol Servia, that's for 7th position, and in the background we can see Marco Andretti, who I believe is last in the championship, but only by virtue of having started the season late. The true last in the championship is actually AJ Allmendinger, who sits 17th in the championship on 157 points. All the drivers behind, they're all on Ilmor engines, and they only started racing from race 6 and 7. Pretty much when the Indy 500 happened, virtually. Bourdais versus Canaan, so Bourdais is on a charge in the final stint of the race, but Canaan's going to take that position back from Bourdais, and behind them is a lurking Castroneves. This is a battle for 5th position. Hinchcliffe looks pretty solid in 3rd now from Wilson, and Canaan, that's going to be 5th position for the Brazilian, old TK. So another good race for the FJR Ewing drivers. 3rd and 5th with 3 laps to go, but that could still change. That was an interesting camera shot, I quite liked that. As we're on board with Castroneves, now challenging Sebastian Bourdais for 6th position. We're having a look at the race leader and looking extremely strong now with the demise of Power and Dixon. Dixon because of a reliability problem, Power because his brain failed going through the S's. And already at the moment the championship leader just by 1 point. This is going to take a massive stride towards championship glory. If Montoya can just hold on through the last 3 corners, that's one of them. Here's another one, and then the final 180 degree right of Peraltada, or Peralta, whichever you prefer. I prefer Peraltada because I believe it's called Peraltada. And the wall on the inside, drift it to the outside, still on the circuit. Montoya takes the victory in Mexico. That will be the Colombian's 3rd of the season, and one of his most important. There's been an incident at the S's somewhere, I have no idea who that was. But anyway, Montoya won that one from Newgarden. Hinchcliffe taking his 2nd podium of the season after his first one at Mid-Ohio. And Wilson takes a very creditable 4th for Twister Kick. Canaan 5th, so both FJR Ewings in the top 5. Sebastian Bourdais for Beast Mode in 6th position, so both Beast Modes in the top 6, and then rounding out the top 8, the 2 turn left development racings of Castroneves and Servia, Briscoe and Sato completing the top 10. And there it is, Power down in 11th, Dixon down in 13th. So despite retiring from that race, Pagenaud did set the fastest lap. Do you get points for fastest lap in this series? I think you do. Let's double check the points system. 1 point for fastest lap. What does that do for the championship? Well, it's looking good for Montoya, but you never know, things could change drastically for the final race of the season. Power and Dixon still hold a slim chance. It is between those top 3, but realistically it looks like it's Montoya's to lose. And the highest placed Chevrolet racer is Simon Pagenaud on 357 points. pretty clear that the Honda has been the better engine this season. And here you can see AJ Allmendinger still down in last of the drivers that completed a full season. Puts Ryan Hunter race efforts into context. Not a bad effort considering that Hunter Ray didn't start the season. Well, we shall see you for the final race. It should be an exciting one at Laguna Seca. See you then.